Bevers Show with the head coach of the Highland Park Scots and Ray Gaskin. Brought to you in part by Abio and Atleta Realtors. We know what makes the Park City special. By Henry's, where you can find the clothes that you want for any occasion.
American heartbeat. The American heartbeat. The American heartbeat. Oh, the American heartbeat. It's the American heartbeat. American heartbeat. The American heartbeat. America. The American heartbeat. Oh, the American heartbeat.
About South Garland, but basically it looked to me like the team followed the game plan. It was to go out and get a big lead early and basically put the game away just as quick as you could.
We thought we could do that pretty well, have it the game in shape by halftime, which we were able to do. And of course, you as a coach, you always worry about kids kind of underestimating someone. We knew going into ball games kids would not be emotional, but still at the same time we felt they would play hard and would carry out a game plan, which they did.
I guess one other thing that added a little sparkle to it was this was homecoming weekend.
Yeah, homecoming at Highland Park is always important, as it is at most places. We did crown the Queen Saturday night, and it was a great week. The kids had a good time. It was fun.
Let's mention some of the names. As a matter of fact, you mentioned the crowning of the homecoming queen, Stacy Jacobs, who, by the way, comes from something of a football family. Her father, Don Jacobs, you're familiar with.
I think Don played on the Garland Owl Ball Club in 1964. I think they won state championships at the time. And he was a 47 second quarter miler in 1964. It's a pretty good time. 47 seconds is pretty good today. So he is a good athlete, and she is a very good athlete, and she is a beautiful girl. And
congratulations to Stacy. Also, in the Queen's contest were Jenny Burnett, Tina Burnett, Lee Robert, Leslie McElroy, and Molly Smith. So Stacy Jacobs had some pretty stiff competition, didn't she?
Oh, I'm telling you, I think anyone that you have chosen would have been great. Of course, there's always got to be a winner in a contest like that, and just like it is a football game, there's got to be a winner.
But there are no losers, really, in a contest like that.
Not in that case, they're not.
Okay, we'll come back and take a look at highlights of Highland Park's 34-6 win over the South Garland Colonels as the Frank Bevers Show continues in just a moment.
In this election year, we have the opportunity to choose the leaders who will best represent us in government. You also have the choice of who will best represent you in real estate matters. You'll want to choose the professionals, the people who are dedicated to helping you, whether you're buying, selling, or just have questions. People like Shar Sutherland, Ann Campbell. At Abio and Atleta, we have the people who know what makes the Park City special. The Highland Park Scots, under Coach Frank Bevers, reflect one thing: excellence. And when you look for automotive excellence, you think Mercedes-Benz. And when you look for the Dallas home of excellence in automotive engineering, you think Auto House. Auto House at 14185 Dallas Parkway is only 12 minutes from the Park Cities. Just drive north on the tollway to Dallas Parkway and the home of Mercedes-Benz. Scots football and a winning tradition. Auto House and Mercedes-Benz. Some things just go together.
No matter what the occasion, you'll find what you're looking for at Henry's.
Before we take a look at the highlights, a couple of other questions about preparations for the South Garland ball game. A moment ago, you said that you knew going in that South Garland would not be that strong a football team, and yet kind of a week of practice did the team have.
We had a good week. First thing, you know, as I mentioned earlier, you're concerned with just the mental aspects of the game that are so important. We did not work as physical and as intense as what we've been working, but still at the same time we've got a lot of work done.
And yet the players, I know I was out here a couple of times last week during practice, and the players were still on something of a pretty big emotional high following the great victory over North Mesquite just a week ago.
Anytime you come off a big win like we did North Mesquite week, that you're concerned that that can be somewhat a disadvantage for you, but still at the same time the kids are on a high and they're on a big positive roll, and we knew that we may not play as physical and as intense, but still at the same time that we would execute very well.
Okay, let's go ahead and roll into the highlights. Highland Park against South Garland here at Highlander Stadium this past weekend, and we will pick up the action with the opening kickoff as Wayne Clements boots it. It's taken by Ivory Armstead, and he brings it out to the 30-yard line.
It'll be Rob Boudreau and Hill and Robbie Crane making the tackle.
So it's 1st and 10 at the South Garland 30-yard line. Glenn Ramsey back to throw, and he is sacked.
He gets a big hard pass rush from the backside and brought down by Brian Owens.
2nd down 18 at the 22-yard line. Zarek Wesley tries to come right. He gets only 2 yards.
We'll come on an 8-man rush, and George C. slips outside from the middle linebacker spot and makes a tackle.
Coach, they're going to go backwards again. Another loss of 8. Pretty good intensity by your defense.
So they're
on this
real
first
fired
series.
up, coming real hard. George C. and Brady Giddens makes the tackle.
So it's 4th down 24 at the 16-yard line. Phillips punts to Steve Davis. And this is a pretty good return here by Steve.
This is an excellent return, 21 yards. Steve gets us in great field position. I believe the ball is on about the 38-yard line.
Sure is. 1st down, Lynn Waters carries for a gain of 6 yards down to the 32. So it sets up 2nd down and 4 at the 32-yard line. John Stoneworth throws, and whoa, it's just incomplete.
Opening the ball game, we came out in twins. We wanted to see if we could get that pass off. We sure could, but we just dropped it.
So after Lynn Waters carries for a gain of 3, on the next carry, John Stoneworth keeps for 4. That is enough for a 1st down at the 25. This time, John keeps for 2 more.
Right now, we're working in the short side of the field, far side, and we're fixing to change it up just pretty quickly here in a minute.
Waters plus 2 yards. So now the ball is down at the 16-yard line, and John Stoneworth will get good yardage this time. Whoa, can he take it in and score it? Just tripped up there.
This is a pass play first. John's checking the wide receiver, then he's coming back on the run second.
And James Knoll blasts through from 4 yards out for the TD. The extra point by Clements is good. An 8-play, 38-yard drive. It's a 7-0 ball game, and you did just what you needed to do on your first series.
And Wayne Clements was good on the extra point.
Now let's see what Wayne does with this kickoff. Ball pops off the artificial turf. You can see the water spots still on the field. Those are the dark spots, but at least it wasn't raining the other night.
We're thankful for that. That's P.J. Brady making the tackle.
1st and 10 at the South Garland 29. Wesley carries for +7. This sets up 2nd down and 3 at the South Garland 36. Ramsey keeps this time, gets a little bit of yardage and enough for a 1st down.
I believe this is George C., the Mike backer, making the tackle.
1st and 10 at the 41. Wesley picks up 3 yards. He is driven down.
Tom Nash is making tackle, as he will be in many situations in this ball game.
Now here comes Ramsey again, but it is tough sledding against the Scots defense. Got a 3rd down and 3 here. Ramsey back to throw, and it is incomplete.
It's knocked down by our defensive end, Brian Owens.
So it's 4th and 3 from the 48-yard line, and South Garland punts. James Esquivel on the punt return.
James picks up about 6 yards. We get the football in great field position once again. We've got to get on the board quickly.
At the 36-yard line, Waters gains 8 yards out of bounds.
This was a great job by John. He's stumbling and falling and pitching the ball to James Knoll outside.
And here comes James Knoll for a gain of 4. And here comes a big play right here, coached by John Stollenworth.
You see on this play right here, Ray, the fullback drives up inside real hard. The strong safety loses sight of the ball, and the free safety fills inside. This turns John loose on the outside for a touchdown run.
Yeah, let's have another look at it right here. And just as you said, the opening was there to the outside, and John, again, just as he did in the North Mesquite ball game, really has deceptive running style. He's a little faster, a little quicker than he would appear to be.
He runs just as fast as it takes to get into the end zone.
So it's a 14-0 ball game, 64 yards. The Scots traveled in 3 plays. Touchback on the kickoff. On the first down play, Ramsey gains 11 up to the 31, and the South Garland quarterback keeps again.
I believe Jeff Carter and George Seed make the tackle. 2nd
down and 7 coming up at the Colonel's 34-yard line. Out of the I formation, Wesley, only 2 yards there.
Wow, he stood up pretty good. Logan Bean helping out on the tackle.
3rd down, 5 at the 36. Ramsey back to throw. Left-handed quarterback actually throws a pretty good pass there.
That's an excellent pass, well defended against. I believe the tackle was Paul Harmon.
Yes. Punt here to Davis, and may have some extra activity there after he made the fair catch.
And they hit him, and we get a 15-yard penalty.
So that puts the ball at the 45-yard line after the walk-off against South Garland. John Stollenworth stopped for a gain of 1. This will bring up 2nd down and 9 at the 46. See what happens here.
This is a good job by Lynn Waters running outside there, breaking back inside for a nice gain.
Pitch back on this play to Knoll for 3 more. 4th down and 1 at the 46. You're going for it here. Waters gets 2 yards in the 1st down. 1st and 10 down at the South Garland 44. John Stollenworth to the air. Nice pass to Mike McCullough.
Beautiful pass. Nice catch, and we got the ball in great field position one more time.
And that was the final play of the 1st quarter, and the Scots are leading by a count of 14-0. One play in particular I want to ask you about there near the end of the 1st period up around midfield. You gambled, went for it on 4th and 1.
Yeah, we felt at this point we had points on the board. It was midfield. If we did not make it, we felt we could hold without giving up points on the scoreboard. So we decided to go for it on 4th down.
I'll tell you what, watching the 1st quarter action again, I'm really impressed with the fact that your team was so emotionally up for that North Mesquite ball game a week ago, and to be able to come back a week after this against a team that hasn't had much success this year and play with the obvious amount of effort and intensity that your ball club had in that 1st quarter is, I think, is pretty impressive.
It really is, because our kids right now, we're on a real positive roll, meaning just about anything we're doing presently, the kids are executing it very well and carrying out a good game plan. They're hustling, they're playing hard. They want to get in the playoffs.
Okay, we'll take a break here, and we'll come back with 2nd quarter action as the Frank Bevers Show continues after this from our sponsor.
Who's he calling a dead skin? What does Skip Bailey say about his favorite Washington Redskin? Marvelous. Manley works magic with his mouth. But basically, Dexter's not so manly. He's a 6'4", 260-pound sack of sugar. Say, Skippy, you ever been popped by a 260-pound sack of sugar?
Skip Bayless doesn't candy coat his column. That's why morning and afternoon, Dallas sports fans ask, what does the Herald say?
Ewing Buick Volvo, the North Dallas location for Buick, featuring the largest selection in Dallas, from the sporty Skyhawk to the luxurious Electra Park Avenue. And Ewing also sells Volvo, GLs, DLs, and the top-of-the-line 760. Volvo recognized as the safest import in America, and Ewing not only sells but services. Buick and Volvo. Ewing has them at one of the most convenient locations to the Park Cities. North on the tollway to Dallas Parkway and the high-rise dealership, Ewing Buick Volvo.
As we pick up second quarter action, Highland Park has the football, and the Scots are on the move again. So let's roll into the action. It's down at the 31-yard line. John Stollenwerk. It's Wayne Clements.
This is a beautiful pass to Wayne. This is an audible. Corner getting up tight on Wayne. John audibles and picks up a real big yardage.
Then John carries for a gain of 8 yards, and this sets up 2nd and 2 at the South Garland 8-yard line. There goes Lynn Waters for 4, and I believe you'll come back to James Knoll on this next play for the score.
We'll run the lead option weak, and James goes in untouched, and this is a 2nd touchdown for the night.
9 plays, 55 yards on the drive. The extra point again is good. 21-0 the score again, a touchback on the kickoff. So it's 1st and 10 out at the 30-yard line. Scott Woodley picks up 1 yard.
Tom Nash, Brian Owen making the tackle.
2nd down 9 from the 31. McKee can get only 2.
Number 76 make quite a few more tackles before the night's over.
One of the few big gains in the first half for South Garland. Ramsey scrambles, and this is a good individual effort by the South Garland quarterback, Coach.
It is. He's a good football player. He's young. He's quick. And this is Matt Johnson, number 11, making the tackle.
That was enough for a 1st down at the 48-yard line. McKee gains 1 yard.
I believe Bill Clements and Doug Cottle making the tackle.
Here comes that tough Scots defense again. Ramsey loses 2.
And Cottle one more time making the tackle.
So it's 3rd down 11 at the 46. Ramsey can't find a receiver. The rush was on. He loses 2 more. So now it's 4th down and 13. No choice for South Garland here but to punt. Good coverage there by South Garland.
Yeah, I think the South Garland kids thought there was a fumble.
But the ball had been whistled dead. 1st and 10 for Highland Park at the 14. James Knoll gets good yardage.
James picks up 12, running real hard. We're finding a few creases inside right now.
And it's Knoll again for 5 yards. Sets up 2nd down and 5 at the 31. Let's go back to the air again, Coach, to Mike McCullough.
John's on target. He's hot. Mike McCullough making a nice catch. Turns it into a big gain.
Boy, there was a lot of zip on that sideline pass, too. In fact, John's going to go to the air again. This time he'll look for the other wide receiver, Wayne Clements. Ooh, look at that.
It's a beautiful pass and catch. This is a live audible. Once again, John calls at the line of scrimmage.
Led him perfectly for a gain of 23 yards. 1st and 10 at the 26. Waters comes outside for 2, ducks his shoulder, gets a little bit of yardage. 2nd down 8 at the 24. Stollenwerk.
Run the lead option to our left. John turns up inside, picks up about 9.
From the 15-yard line, John carries again for a gain of 4. 2nd down and 6 down at the 11-yard line. Let's go back to James Knoll, who scored those 2 touchdowns.
It's a beautiful block by Lynn Waters. James Knoll picks up about 4.
3rd down and 2 at the Colonel's 7-yard line. And here comes Waters over the left side for 3 yards. And I guess, it's about time for us to see James Knoll again.
Yeah, James does a good job of sliding pass, and I believe this is free safety stepping over, trying to make the tackle. This is his 3rd touchdown for the night.
28-0 the score. 11 plays, 86 yards, 2:40, as you can see, left in the 2nd quarter. Here's the kickoff by Clements. Touchbacks on quite a few of the other kickoffs, but this time a return here for Armstead. Not much of one. Oh, my, the ball is loose. But South Garland gets it back. 1st down at the Colonel 17. Wesley can't go anywhere. Boy, he just hit hard.
Hit very hard with Brian Owen, wraps him up, throws him for a no gain.
2nd down 10 at the 17. Ramsey. And you saw him scramble for 15 earlier. This time he gains 22 yards.
You can see his quickness right here. He's going to be a good football player as he matures.
From the 39-yard line, now Eric Wall's in the ballgame. Number 34 carries for 3 yards. 2nd down 7 at the 42-yard line.
Our defensive tackle, Fred Vihan, number 57, makes the tackle.
Let's watch Ramsey again. And he scrambles for 15 more.
Tell you what, Steve Davis makes a nice open field tackle. Ramsey's a good football player. And his senior year, when he gets a little stronger, a little smarter, he's going to be very good.
Well, he got some zing on that pass to Birdwell. Gain of 35 yards. That sets up 1st and goal at the Scots 8-yard line. And this would be a big lift for South Garland if they can score, but Garland can take it in. Ramsey has to eat it this time. And it looks to be like you're just determined that South Garland is not going to get into the end zone. And 4 plays doesn't get them there.
Really doesn't. Our kids play real hard. I think South Garland felt a little pressure trying to get the ball in because they're working against the clock, no timeouts. Quarterback gets a little mixed up, throws the ball out of bounds on 4th down. This is not uncommon in high school. It does happen. In fact, it happened to us right here in 1975.
You know, we mentioned one time earlier when we showed the wide shot of the artificial turf here, you could see the wet spots, but we did point out that it was not raining the other night. Actually, it was, I thought, overall, the nicest weather we've had for a high school football game this fall. It was cool. It was no wind. It was like what you would like to have in this time of year for a high school football game.
Oh, it's beautiful. No elements. All you had to do is just play. It wasn't cold, wasn't hot. It was just ideal. It gave you the opportunity to have a lot of fun.
Let's hope the weather will continue to be like that, particularly for the ball game coming up this week.
Cold weather might not be bad for us.
Not if we could see some, say, on down in December. It'd be nice to have to put up with some cold weather and be out practicing here that time of year.
It certainly would.
We're going to amplify more on that a little bit later. Right now it's halftime, and the Scots have a big lead over South Garland. We'll continue with the Frank Bevers Show after this.
No matter what the occasion, you'll find what you're looking for at Henry's.
This fall, keep up with all the sports news coming from the Highland Park school system. Scott football, volleyball, swimming, soccer, McCulloch Middle School sports. All are detailed each week in the Park Cities News by exclusive sports reporter Brenda Lamance. Brenda brings out not only the facts, stats, and results, but can sometimes offer a different view. With action photos, full game wrap-up, interviews, and previews of upcoming events, you'll always be in the know. Sports with Brenda Lamance, only in the Park Cities News. There is no comparison.
Anyone who has ever sold their house and had to move knows that it's no fun. It requires planning, plenty of hard work, and most of all, lots of your valuable time. The last thing that you need are last-minute worries about closing, where, when, or any of the thousands of little things that could be the last straw. That's one of the reasons why you should choose a professional realtor like Abbeo and Adlita. We at Abbeo and Adlita understand all the problems associated with a move. Why? We just moved to 5933 Berkshire, still in Preston Center, still close by, still ready to help you with your next real estate move. Abbeo and Adlita.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Coach, with just one regular season game left, and we certainly hope at least a playoff game, or as we were talking a while ago, how about 6 playoff games? That would be the perfect icing on the cake, because that's how far you have to go in 5A to get right through to the championship game, correct?
That's true. That sounds like music to my ears. We'd like to do that one of these days. Work real hard. If we're fortunate, maybe we can. Yeah, we're looking forward to that. Hopefully, with a little luck, we might be able to do that.
Now, let's evaluate an aspect of the football team that you and I have not talked about in quite a while, and that is a specialty team play. It seems to me that you're right on target there, too.
On our club, we carry 70 kids, and sometimes it's hard to play all 70. Sometimes you get the opportunity to do that. On our special teams, this kickoff, return, punt, return, what have you, the special teams play. Our kids are playing very good. It's a very important part of the game. It's 1/3 of the game. And a lot of times it means the difference between field position, turning the ball, not turning it, getting field position in your favor. So many things are involved in special teams play. And this is just as important as offense or defense.
Seems to me, particularly on punting plays, in the highlights and the shows throughout this year, you've had a great deal of enthusiasm and guys really hustling downfield just as quickly as they can every time on the punt coverage to prevent the long run back.
The kids play on special teams. This is just as important to them as someone starting on offense or another kid that might be starting on defense. It's very important. Bad things can happen to you so quickly in the kicking phase, and sometimes it might be more of a disadvantage to you if you break down on special teams than you might on offense or defense. And they realize the importance of hustling and playing hard, because this gives them their chance to getting on the field. And a lot of our young kids play on our special teams.
You've had a lot of very good place kickers here over the years, and punters. In some instances, the guy who's done the place kicking has also been the punter. Sometimes it's totally different, but gosh, you've had some excellent ones here. Dodge Carter is now over at SMU. David Sweeney did a terrific job for you for a long time. How about Wayne Clements? He's a little bit different situation in that he is in the ball game on offense as well as kicking.
Well, it really is, and of course he's a big gun in our team because with his kicking, whether it might be a field goal or punt, can really change the whole complexion of the game from something that might be a disadvantage to you to an advantage. And he is definitely a big play person with his foot.
Do you think psychologically the way the coaches and the other players on the team approach their relationship with Wayne is a little different than it was with David Sweeney, because Wayne is such an integral part of the offensive unit too?
Well, yeah, I think they look at him a little bit differently because he is a guy that's on the field also, and he not only has to carry out his assignment there as an offensive wide receiver, but still at the same time he's got to do his job on punting, field goals, extra points, that type of thing, and he's just got a big burden to carry.
I think with homecoming this last weekend, we pointed out the enthusiasm related to that, all of the fanfare and the excitement that is there at any homecoming, whether it be at Highland Park or another school. Very important part of that is on homecoming night, it gives the band, the drill team, and the cheerleaders an opportunity to shine.
Yeah, that's true. Of course, they are an integral part of the total curriculum, as athletics might be, or any of the academic classes. They have their place, and it's just as important to them as athletics is to our football kids. And this is their way of participating, because we do have a total school program that's well-rounded.
I believe that Molly Long is the director of the cheerleaders, and I know they put in a lot of pretty long hours too, don't they?
They certainly do. And of course, they have to do a lot of their work early in the mornings before school, and those kids have, you know, a duty to do that they choose to do of their own free time before and after school, and they get a lot of enjoyment out of that. Also requires, by golly, quite a bit of athletic ability too to be a good cheerleader. Oh, you do nowadays, because all the
acrobatics and that sort of thing.
Yes, of course, a lot of our girls have been in gymnastics, taking the tumbling there, and of course they can do all kinds of things. Sometimes they might do a lot better than some of the boys might.
I know several of you were expecting to see a special halftime feature segment on the cheerleaders this week, but we weren't quite able to get the piece finished, and we want to do it up just right, so we're going to save it for you until next week, but we will have that for you on next week's edition of the Frank Bevers Show. And we'll come back and take a look at the second half highlights of the Scots win over the South Garland Colonels in just a minute.
Buick Volvo, the North Dallas location for Buick, featuring the largest selection in Dallas, from the sporty Skyhawk to the luxurious Electra Park Avenue. And Ewing also sells Volvo, GLs, DLs, and the top-of-the-line 760. Volvo recognized as the safest import in America, and Ewing not only sells but services. Buick and Volvo. Ewing has them at one of the most convenient locations to the Park Cities, north on the tollway to Dallas Parkway, and the high-rise dealership, Ewing Buick Volvo.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Coach, with a big lead at halftime, this was, again, a good opportunity this week for you to get some younger players into the ball game in the second half.
Yeah, that's true. Thing we wanted to do is take our offensive line with John Stallenworth back out with some of our backup backs, try to give them as much experience as possible. We were hoping that they'd be in just one drive, then we could get our young kids in and turn it completely over to them.
This also could very well have been your last good opportunity this year to get some backup players out there, too.
I think that's probably right.
Let's take a look at the third quarter highlights now. We'll pick up the action as the third period gets underway with Wayne Clements putting his foot into the ball. And, Coach, who's going to make the tackle on this kickoff?
Well, I think some people might call him the caboose. That's Hank Bevers.
Hank Bevers making the tackle on Armstead to start the third quarter. First and 10, 25-yard line. Wesley loses 2.
Well, would you look at the blue shirts around that football?
Great pursuit on the first down play. Second down, 12 at the 23-yard line. What did Randy Emery say to those guys anyway?
They're pretty gunned up, wanting to... They realize they're not going to get to be there very long. Jeff Carter, number 49, making the tackle.
Third down 9, 26-yard line. Ramsey tries to go right. He picks up only 1.
I believe this is Doug Caldwell, Jr., defensive tackle, making the tackle.
On 4th and 8, South Garland punts. Steve Davis will take it. And Steve tries to go left and gets a little bit on the return.
Not much running room. They have good coverage.
First and 10, 42-yard line. Josh Theodore picks up 6, new back in the game.
Come on a misdirection trap. Josh turns up inside pretty good. This is Robert Mays, number 30, on the inside counter, picking up 6 yards.
And after an offside penalty against Highland Park, first and 15, 49-yard line. John Stallenworth scrambling. He looks for Kennington and throws complete, but this will be wiped out by a holding call. But that's not going to slow down your air attack here, is it?
No, we're wanting to open up just a little bit. It's a nice pass to Wayne Clements for 12.
And we'll go back to the air again. You've heard of Air Coriolis. Looks like Air Bevers here for the moment.
I'll tell you what, this is that's a rough tackle right there. Wayne takes a good shot and makes a catch for a 10-yard gain.
3 straight passes, 3 straight completions. 3rd and 2 at the 39. John Stallenworth goes for 7. So from the South Garland 32-yard line, let's go back to the air again. Mike McCulloch grabs 1 for a gain of 11. First and 10 at the 21-yard line. John Stallenworth will keep the ball as he goes left for 4.
This is a broken assignment. John turns it in for a 4-yard gain.
Clay Sumner comes in at quarterback. Coach, why did you make the change right there?
Well, that's a tough question. We're not interested in trying to embarrass somebody. We're interested in getting some of our young kids in, backup people in to give us some strength.
Wayne Clements will try the field goal, and it is good. 11 plays, 58 yards, a score 31-0 over South Garland. Matt Pollard kicks off to Armstead. Good grief. Bevers makes his 2nd consecutive tackle on a kickoff.
Well, you know how to put a guy on the spot, don't you?
I tell you what. Well, we've already pointed out, though, really, in all seriousness, how important the play of the specialty teams is.
It is very important.
Ramsey goes back to throw, and everybody's coming.
Well, I'll tell you what, their offensive line breaks down very badly, and we swarm tackle the quarterback.
Loss of 9, 3rd down 19 at the 25. Ramsey has a little more time to throw, but it's overthrown, incomplete, and the receiver was well covered, too. Here's the punt, and Williams will be back on the returning into this one. Brandon Williams takes it on 1 hop, first and 10 at the Highland Park 37, and this is Mays for a gain of 7.
This is Robert Mays in the ball game right now. He had a bruised leg in the Garland ball game, and this is the first time he's played since then.
And you give him some real good experience here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight carries.
We need to call this a Robert Mays show. Robert's done a good job running inside. He runs real hard. He's got good quickness. He's got great strength. And he's going to be very valuable to us before this is over with.
And continuing to peck away here, 4 or 5 yards per gain on almost every carry for Mays.
Wow, this is John Presley, number 34, making that run right there real tough.
First and 10 at the 37. Mays will get it again for a gain of 6. Now you're down to the 29-yard line. Falk is in the ballgame.
Falk picks up 2. This is sophomore. He's going to have a big future at Highland Park.
3rd down and 2 at the 27. The quarterback, Sumner, goes for a gain of 1, and there is the end of the 3rd period of action. And backup players, of course, always very enthusiastic to get into a ball game, get the real live action, which certainly by this time of year, Coach, means an awful lot more than running plays in practice.
Certainly so. There's so many hard knocks and bruises, and this is the reward that you get for that. Of course, we'd like to play them more, but it's our responsibility to try to win a football game if we can. And if we can do that and plan them, this is what we're fixing to do.
Like the fact that that you brought Sumner in there in the third quarter when it seemed pretty obvious that had you wanted to, you could have gone on in and scored another touchdown with John Stollenwerk in at quarterback. But I guess another aspect of that is you wanted to get Sumner in there in a position where he might have a chance to take the team in and score from in close.
That's true. Now, either Clay or Robert Reed, Bard Hoover, one of those three kids is going to have to be the starting quarterback next year, so they need as much experience as possible, and they got to pull their belt up a little bit tight. They've got to mature out mentally and physically, and because it'll be turned over to them next fall.
All right, we'll have a look at the fourth quarter action. Scots 34-6 win over South Garland in just a minute.
No matter what the occasion, you can find what you want at Henry's.
Here in the Park Cities, we have our choice of newspapers. But for the past 46 years, Park Cities people have chosen the Park Cities News. And not only Park Cities residents, but people all over Dallas are interested in the stories reported in the Park Cities newspaper, the Park Cities News. Find out why people are willing to pay for it. For subscription information, call 369-7570.
We pick up the fourth quarter action. The Scots are about to set up for a field goal try. Coach Wayne Clements, let's see if he can put it through.
I'll tell you what, if we are fortunate enough to get into the playoffs, field goal situation will be very critical, and it might be the difference between winning and losing.
So with only 5 seconds elapsed in the fourth quarter, Wayne's boot is there. That makes it 34-0. And Pollard kicks off to Armstead.
Pollard is the kicker of the future, and he may make a big contribution before this year is over.
First and 10 for South Garland. Robert Smith picks up short yardage. Now it's McKee for a gain of 10 yards for the Colonels. And we'll go to McKee again as they have moved into Highland Park's into the field. Pretty good running right here.
Pretty good pursuit. Hank Bevers making a tackle.
Now from the Scots 22-yard line. Not going to be much there this time. McKee is hit and shoved back.
Hit very hard.
Carter coming up with the big hit, I believe. Second down 11 at the Highland Park 23, and they lose 3 more. Armstead is dropped.
This is Tim Parrish, number 52. Very emotional. He's glad to get in the ball game.
From the 26-yard line, Ramsey, remember he scrambled for some big gainers in the first half. He rips off 16 yards here.
Paul Harmon and Hank Bevers making the tackle.
First and 10 down at the 10-yard line. Ramsey. Uh-oh, there's the loose football, and the Scots recover.
I believe this is Brady Giddens, number 75, making the recovery.
Now we'll see Robert Reed at quarterback.
Robert Reed is a quarterback of the future. He's a very smart young man. Got a lot of poise, and as he matures physically, he should be very good.
Presley and Mays with the first 2 carries here. Now, let's see what happens here. Pitch back ball. Look at this. Instead of a big loss, it's a gain of 12.
I'll tell you what, Chris made an excellent catch in keeping it from being put on the ground.
First and 10 out at the 23. Mays picks up 3. Out of the split back offense, let's see, number 14, Reed. He cuts back inside. No gain on the play. Third down and 7 at the 26. Presley for a yard.
This is lead draw. They're doing a good job of getting to the football, and they force us to punt.
Pollard does the booting now with Clements on the sidelines. Kick of 29 yards. First and 10 for the Colonels at the 44. They'll go with some razzle-dazzle here. Pitch back to Armstead. He'll throw back to the quarterback, Ramsey.
Look at that tackle made by sophomore Robbie Crane. Uses his eyes very well. Pitch back to the tailback, throw back to the quarterback pass.
McKee takes the pitch, cuts inside, and gains 13 yards. for a first down.
I believe our middle linebacker, Rob Boudreaux, makes the tackle.
Now let's see what happens on this play. Armstead cuts back against the grain. Hard hitting out there, but some pretty good gains for South Garland. And the Colonels are getting down here close to perhaps scoring a touchdown. This time they sweep it outside, down to about the 12.
South Garland has not given up. They're still playing hard. They're still playing very aggressive.
Ramsey with a couple of fakes, and can he take it in? He is hit down at about the 3-yard line, where it sets up first and goal. Give here is to the tailback Armstead for a +2, and it will now set up first and goal at the 1-yard line, and I believe the Colonels should score here. Yes, they do. Armstead gets the TD, so that makes it 34-6. Extra point was no good. 2:29 is all that's left in the ball game. And now South Garland prepares to kick off. And I believe this will be Hill on the kickoff return for 18 yards.
It's a nice return, 18 yards. We get it outside the 20.
Now we'll see Hoover at quarterback, Coach.
Bart Hoover, and he's got a very strong arm. He could be in the deciding as who's going to be the quarterback of the future.
Buck will get 3 consecutive carries here. Gains 2 on first down and 4 on the second down carry. Good hit on the outside there by South Garland on the corner. So after a 2-yard gain on the third down play, Pollard punts, and it will go down to the South Garland 34-yard line with time running out in the ball game. From the Colonel's 34, Ramsey bobbles the snap. And there's a big pileup. And there you see it, the indication from the official, the Scots recovered. Let's go back to Sumner, quarterback from the South Garland 34. And he is sacked, and now with time running out in the contest, see what happens here. Sideline pass out on the near side is incomplete, and that runs out to time, the end of the ball game. And your final again, Highland Park 34, South Garland 6. The Scots in control from the outset of the ball game. And I guess when you look back on this one, it's basically a matter of just doing exactly what you set out to do, to take control of the tempo early in the ball game and not get yourself in one of these situations where South Garland could perhaps pull off an upset.
That's true. Of course, we felt, you know, if we could go out and take charge of the game early, that they'd lost quite a few games, and with a lot of young kids, and them being inexperienced, this would put some pressure on them and make it a lot easier on us for the night.
Okay, we'll have the Wilmer Hutchins Eagles coming in here this weekend. That's going to be a good football game, and there will be a lot at stake. As a matter of fact, not only for Highland Park, for Wilmer Hutchins, and also for North Mesquite. We're going to amplify on that and preview that ball game in just a minute, so please stay with us.
Oh, wait till the boys read this. What does Skip Bayless say about the Cowboys' front four? The flex defense is no longer a space oddity. This is armchair blasphemy, but the doomsday defense has fallen behind times, part of early America's team. Thanks for throwing in your 2 cents worth, Bayless. The boys and I agree. It's worth every penny of it.
Skip Bayless speaks his mind, whatever the cost. That's why Dallas sports fans ask, what does the Herald say?
Let's talk just for a moment about your position on the offensive line. Basically, define your responsibilities at the strong guard position.
Strong guard, usually Doug and I and Trey, we all work together, and anytime we want to run up the middle, then, you know, that we take care of the defensive tackles or the linebackers that are over us, and then if we're running outside, we usually get the linebacker or we double team.
The offense that you run here at Highland Park is the veer. Are there certain things about that you feel from a lineman standpoint you have to execute a little bit differently if you were just running, say, a straight I formation?
Well, with the veer, you probably have to be a little bit quicker at getting across people and doing things like that.
It really helps when you have a quarterback like John Stollenwerk who can run that option play so well.
Yes, sir, it does. We're real pleased with John. Happy that he's on our team.
From the standpoint of being emotionally up for ball games and really keeping your concentration level high, as everyone knows, the spectators see what's happening with the quarterback, the running backs, the receivers, and they see the defensive linemen get the sacks. And yet, everybody always says that it's the interior offensive linemen whose names don't get mentioned very often. Do you guys try to work together there in that offensive line to keep yourselves pumped up?
Well, yes, sir. We work a bunch, and the 5 or 6 of us that are on the interior line, we do a bunch of things together during the week, and we always talk about it. And, you know, whenever a back scores a touchdown or something, I mean, we know that we did our part to help them score.
And I guess those backs, too, probably don't forget that you had a part in it.
No, sir, they sure don't.
How satisfying has this season been for you personally?
This season has been real satisfying. I think I've gotten better pretty much every game from when I started out.
Once again, it's turning out to be a pretty satisfying year here at Highland Park. What has the season meant to you thus far in a general sort of way?
Well, it's been a pretty big deal because, you know, this is my first year to really start, and I've played offense before, and this is my first year to play defense, and I like it a lot more. It's a lot more exciting. It's got a lot more to it.
Obviously, you've made the transition without a whole lot of difficulty.
Well, yes, sir. Coach Emery helped a lot.
Let's talk about the influence of the coaches here. How would you say that they are, what are the strong suits in them working with you and the kind of preparation that they help you do to get ready for a game?
Well, they usually, you know, we add something every week for each team. And Coach Emery usually helps us, you know, like stun around. If, you know, we got a bigger person to go against, somebody a little harder, then he'll help us adjust to that person by adding stuff. And like for North Mesquite, we put on a whole lot of new defense, especially for the ends.
That, in observing the Highland Park football team over a period of time, as I've commented to some of the other players, seems to me that you all do really try to stay on your toes and approach each ball game and each opponent entirely different from the team that you played the week before.
Yes, sir, we do. Like I said, we try to add, you know, new stuff for each game.
Keeps practice from being boring, doesn't it?
Yes, sir, it does.
But the real excitement is the ball games. To you, once you get into a football game, what is the aspect of the game itself that really excites you more than anything else individually?
Well, you know, you really got to get yourself psyched up in order to play well.
Let's turn our attention now to the Wilmer Hutchins Eagles. And Coach, seems to be the case every year, there is no football team in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that has more raw, natural talent on it than the Wilmer Hutchins football squad. It seems like, I've seen them play 2 or 3 times this year, and every time I'm there, press box is full of college scouts.
That's true. Of course, they have so much speed, and everybody wants a football player that has quickness and speed, that he can go the distance from any point on the field. And it's really hard to win with kids that can't run very fast. And of course, in college, if you don't have the speed, then it's very difficult for you to get there.
Wilmer Hutchins has lost a district football game, but let's explain what the scenario is at this point with 1 regular season game left. If Highland Park wins the ball game this weekend, then there's no question about who goes into the playoffs. The Scots would be the district champion, and if North Mesquite beats Mesquite in their last ball game, excuse me, which of course they'd be favored to do, then those would be the 2 representatives from this district. However, if Wilmer Hutchins should, by some quirk, pull off an upset in the ball game, then what happens?
Well, then it boils right down to a flip of a coin. First flip is for the district champion, odd man, and then the next flip is for the runner-up spot. And of course, the thing that we'll have to do this coming Friday night is we've got to win the football game or we've got to tie it. If we do either of those 2 things, providing North Mesquite takes care of their business, then we'll be the district champion and they'll be the runner-up. This will probably be the first time that North Mesquite will probably root for us to win, because if they root for us to win and we do win, then this gives them an automatic spot.
That's right.
Of course, on the other hand, if we get beat and then it becomes a coin toss, we could be in the stands, they could be in the stands, or it might be Wilmer Hutchins. Who knows? Because it is a game of chance.
Yeah, because essentially what would happen is if 3 teams wound up in a round-robin tie for the district title, you just toss a coin and 2 are in and 1's going to be out.
Many gamblers have gone bankrupt on the game of chance.
Now, let's talk a little bit specifically about some of the individual athletes on the Wilmer Hutchins Ball Club.
Offensively, this is a thing that where they put so much pressure on you because they have so much speed and quickness. And of course, they've got 2 very good quarterbacks. Milton Cockrell, number 5, is really the gun. He's the one with the big arm that makes things happen. And he is either going to try to get the ball to Gary Barnett, number 9, who is the other quarterback, and he'll be playing a wing back. And Darren Gillespie is a kid that will be highly recruited by many of the colleges across the United States, and he's number 84. And he is the one that makes things happen. And of course, they've got a good fullback in Quentin Williams, number 33. Pressure on you that you might possibly break down any point. Wouldn't surprise me this week to see Wilmer Hutchins throw at least 40 times, and with the ball put in the air that many times, bad things can happen. Defensively, they're pretty big on defense. They've got 2 excellent football players that play with their hands on the ground. Kenneth Miles, number 60, weighs 230 pounds. He'll be playing in front of one of our offensive guards, who is a very good football player, and he'll be hard to move. And James Clark, the defensive end, he's number 75. He weighs 230 pounds. He's a big football player, and he'll be hard to move. They got a good free safety in Anthony Wright, number 40, who can cover from sideline to sideline. They have 3 good quarterbacks. One of the better ones, number 51, George Johnson, will be hard to contain.
What you don't want to do with a football team like that is get behind them early and have them get really fired up and get a lot of confidence that they're going to be able to beat you. I know that they lost, Wilmer Hutchins lost, and as a matter of fact lost big to North Mesquite about 4 games ago in a contest that was pretty much, in the opinion of some, rated about a toss-up. But North Mesquite got on them real fast and just completely put Wilmer Hutchins out of the game.
That's true. North Mesquite put a lot of pressure on early, and some bad things happened to Wilmer Hutchins. And they converted 3 quick touchdowns early in the 3rd quarter. And this happens to you. Any good football team, this definitely affects the mental attitude, and then they just went downhill.
You know, one thing I'll say about Wilmer Hutchins, I saw them play South Oak Cliff over at Sprague Field in Dallas about the 2nd week of the football season. I was very impressed with the number of fans that they brought to that football game. I think they're probably going to fill up their side of the stadium over here this weekend.
Well, I think it'll be a sellout. In fact, our side has already been sold out, and I would think they'll bring a big crowd because they probably think this might be the first time in several years that they've really got an excellent chance of winning a football game, and they probably do. But our kids don't think it's going to happen, so that's why you play to see what the outcome is going to be. But I will guarantee you this, it will be exciting.
This is the time of year for teams to be peaking or nearing a peak, with the playoffs getting underway next week. And in one of the newspapers here locally this last weekend, I was reading a recap of the weekend's games, and they were listing the teams that were on the downhill side and the teams that have been on an upswing. And fortunately, they listed Highland Park as one of those on a big upswing.
That's true. Each week, you know, we've progressively gotten a little better. And, of course, this is what you'd like to do as a football coach, is not let your team peak too early. They have got to peak at the point when you're fixing to play your toughest opponent. And we brought our kids along real nicely. Most people had forgotten about us, and about the time we played North Mesquite, we were really on a real positive roll, and our kids were playing real hard, and we played super that night.
Coach, I haven't seen any exotic plays out of you this year. You know, what's happened to the guard around?
I guess in my old age, I've gotten very conservative.
Actually, you haven't been in a situation where you've been kind of behind and had to use one of those. But I've got to think those plays are still in the book, aren't they?
They're still there. I hope we don't have to use them, though.
Well, we'll see what happens this weekend as the Scots take on Wilmer Hutchins, and hopefully we'll have a big win and then be ready to roll right on into the playoffs. We'll be with you right here at the same time next week with highlights of what we trust will be a win over Wilmer Hutchins Ball Club. And it's getting a little bit chilly out here, isn't it? This change in the time has started to sneak up on us, hasn't it?
It really has, but as long as we win, I can take the cold weather.
We'll sit out here in the dark and do this with a flashlight. We'll see you next week. Thanks very much for being with us. So long, everybody. Scots lost to the Wilmer Hutchins Eagles 3-0 this past weekend. However, following a coin toss, the Scots will still get into the playoffs anyway. Now, Coach, let's set all of this up. First of all, after the ball game, I know that you were terribly disappointed, as all the team and the fans were, about losing the football game. But what a roller coaster ride it must have been for you emotionally, having first gone through a loss and then coming out a winner in the coin flip.
Well, we had several chances involving the coin toss. We had about 5 chances to be in the playoffs. We could have won the football game that would have put us in the playoffs. We could have tied the game that would have put us in the playoffs. We could have lost the game and still have a chance to be in the playoffs. 3 people involving the flip, which would have been the 4th time, and we lost that one. And when it comes to the 5th flip, or the 5th choice, we won that one. So we really had 5 chances to make it.
Of course, I'm sure when all 3 of you coaches went into that coin toss situation, each one of you was thinking, I've got 2 out of 3 chances to be a winner in this thing. 66, 67%. Those aren't bad odds when you're in a game of chance like that. Those of you who are not aware of the way the rules are set up, if there is a 3-way tie for the district championship, since there are 2 playoff positions available from each district, the only way to determine it when there's a 3-way tie is to have a coin flip. 2 people get in the playoffs and 1 has to stay home. Gosh, North Mesquite has to be feeling really bad. In fact, in reading the newspapers the last few days, they are saying that North Mesquite is certainly the best of the football teams here in the area that did not get into the playoffs.
I don't think there's any question about that. I think that's probably right. And, of course, North Mesquite possibly could have been the best team in our district. But this is the way that we do our playoff systems in our district, and I like it a lot better than some of the ways that the other people do it. They go on positive points, some of the other districts do. This encourages you to beat someone real bad, and if you beat them real bad, then that is positive points, which would be in your favor, providing it came down to a coin toss of 3 or more people. I don't like that because I don't think you take the kids in consideration. That way, you had 4 quarters to decide it. If you can't decide at 4 quarters, then why not flip?
Well, and the other thing, too, is if you went with that other type system you were just talking about, as you said, it encourages you to run up a score on somebody, and I really don't think that's a very good idea.
No, I don't like it, not at all.
So, as a result of the coin flip, the Scots are in the playoffs, and we're going to be amplifying on that much later in the show tonight, but of course you will be taking on the Roosevelt Mustangs at Sprague Field. Now, you did lose a coin flip, but if you were going to lose one, at least you won the correct one that got you into the playoffs. You had a coin toss to determine where the playoff site was.